with a driver's license.
Okay.
It's a nice facility.
It is very nice.
I go out there, it's easier.
We do this all the time. All right.
Thank you.
Calling to order the January 20th, 2026 meeting of the Long Lake City Council at 6:31 PM. All council members are present this evening with the exception of Councilmember Dybek. Item 2 is a Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 3 is mayor's comments, Long Lake news, meeting review, and updates. Not a terrible amount to report over the last couple of weeks. Been fairly quiet in Long Lake, at least. A little busier in this outer, greater metropolitan area. One thing coming up here to report to give folks a refresher on, a reminder on, is the Orono Lions Snowball Open that's coming up on Saturday, January 31st at Birches. More information about that at ornolions.org. Usually a morning event, always a great event. I think the weather is going to cooperate this year from the way it's appearing. I think the ice will probably be frozen enough unless something drastically changes the next week or so here. So that's a great event. We look forward to that, and thanks to the Lions for putting that on every year, and for Birches for hosting. Otherwise, nothing else to report as far as what's occurred since our last council meeting. I would say nothing of note. With that, we'll move on to item number 4, which is to approve this evening's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 5 is a consent agenda. There's items A through E on the consent agenda this evening. Any questions for staff regarding items on the consent agenda?
So did the Plymouth contract go up a bit?
Yep. Yep. They, their cost of grinding materials, went up significantly, and therefore they are sharing that cost with the participating cities. So, I think we did expect that to happen. I did make a note in my report that, fairly recently, I'd actually approached a couple neighboring cities with similar, yard waste drop facilities. But they also were kind of experiencing the same issues, that the cost of dealing with those materials and the staffing was such, and the level of material was such that they were not in a position to be accepting more materials from another municipality by contract. I do think I'm going to be making the rounds again and just double checking, because that's part of due diligence. I still think this is the best solution for us this year. We can't be without that when we are dealing with ash trees, and still working on those internally to the best of our ability. But I do think I'll be making the rounds and seeing if there's any openness and availability, if any circumstances have changed, but I certainly wouldn't want to promise anything there.
Just one of the curious questions, and I think you answered it, was how often does it get used? Because it is a per capita
Yep.
cost, but it sounds like Public Works might be one of their best.
Last year, that is for
Customers.
certain, probably. As were a lot of homeowners. It is a call I receive somewhat regularly, which is why we make their information very accessible on our website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because it's 8,700.
Yes, yes.
Public Works used it quite a bit.
Okay.
They were able to dispose of all of their tree trunks there. And
Nice.
It was very
Yep.
nice for them.
I've used it several times. I appreciate Plymouth doing that for us. Great service. A little bit of a drive down County Road 6, but not the end of the world.
Right.
And I believe this is the first rate increase that we've seen in quite a while, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
As I said, it was the per capita. I'm like,
Yes.
okay, what percentage of the people use it?
Right.
And what's the
We probably get our money
traffic
with Public
that's going
Works.
there? So we've gotten our money's worth for
I would
public-
say especially with the ash trees, not only for us, but for our residents, and I think it has really been a heavy use facility.
Okay. Just because you don't want to pay $8,700 and probably use $2,000 worth.
I have people ask me all the time if their son-in-law or such can bring their stuff to the site, and I said, absolutely, as long as you ride along with your Long Lake ID. So I know it's an amenity that gets used.
Perfect. Because if it's necessary,
Yes.
So why is that has never been an option, or?
They were one of the ones I'd reached out to. They were not in a position to accept more volume. There were a few others. And I understand because the volume has only been increasing. You know, as population rises, the volume increases, and at the same time, the cost of grinding the materials and such goes up. Cost of equipment rises, cost of staff rises, so that's kind of the catch-22 we're in. I think if we were not already in a contract with Plymouth, I do not believe they would accept another customer at this time.
okay. Well, we don't want to lose the opportunity.
Exactly.
Although Wayzata would be really close.
I know.
Yes.
They were my first call.
So they do it themselves, they don't work with Plymouth? They have their own, as far as we know?
I believe they did. I don't think it accepted as much as Plymouth does, because Plymouth is a little bit more comprehensive. You know, but I was looking around for like close leaf drop options, leaf disposal and such. But even that, you know, the leaf drop sites, they weren't really, you know, short of going to like the NRG processing facilities in Minnetrista and such. The local municipalities just, last time I had made some contacts in our local area, were just not in a position to accept more volume.
One of the questions I have, I know, but, did you have a question?
No, I was gonna see if there's any other questions, so that's perfect. Segue.
So the emergency gate got replaced.
Actually, what this right now is a down payment to be able to get on their schedules. They will be doing the gate repairs in spring.
Okay.
With this payment, they were able to start ordering supplies and get us on their schedule. We are planning on billing some neighboring cities and entities for a large portion of that cost.
Okay.
But I did talk to Charlie about this, and I felt like it would be appropriate to turn around and bill them once the gate was in place,
Okay.
completed. I thought if we
Oh,
tried
well.
to bill them ahead of time, that it might cause some contention, and I thought that, because I know it will be done this year in the spring, I'm working closely with the company that's installing it, that
Okay.
we will be billing that back to participating entities in the spring.
All right, so you're looking at Shoreline County? County.
For
Who are you gonna bill?
who we're gonna bill, it's gonna be the we're looking at billing the county, we're looking at billing MnDOT, and we're looking at, the crime prevention might also help, the crime
Why is that a
prevention
crime prevention coalition?
Wayzata and Orono. Now, once it gets closer, I will be finalizing with Charlie on the exact
Proportion?
proportion and make sure that I bill accordingly.
Because it's not just Long Lake that uses it.
No, absolutely, and
Right.
I've been working very closely. Charlie had asked me probably a month or so ago to try to get involved in this, and so that was one of the things that I've talked to other cities. I said, the city of Long Lake doesn't have a fire department any longer, nor do we have a police department on our own, so this should not be our burden. And I feel we made some good headway with our neighboring
And it's a
partners.
county road to a state highway, right?
Correct.
And have you ever driven on that section of that road?
No.
Exactly. That's the thing that's nutty, is that if you live in Long Lake, you get off before,
Yeah.
you never are on
No.
that section of road.
I think I have, like, when it was
You were
first
curious one
built.
time?
Right.
No, but like, of all the people in the state that don't use the road, it's Long Lake.
Right.
Yeah.
It's logically such an upside down thing. It's unbelievable.
Yes.
So thank you
I
for
think we were
fighting that fight.
successful.
Yeah. what a good
Charlie had done
partnership
he had done a lot of the legwork for me and asked if I could just finish it up, and so I think we were very successful, and then I've been working very closely with the gate company to make sure that they were paid, we were on their schedule, and that this will be repaired for sure in the spring.
So have they come
Nice.
out to see what parts they need, and that's what,
They have been our vendor for that gate for years, and which is why we had chosen to work with them.
Okay.
So they're very familiar with the gate. So this was a full bid. We had the option to outsource electric services on our own. And after talking with Public Works, we decided to just do full bid so that the project could be done seamlessly and there would be no holdups and no surprises on cost. So this is
Okay.
the final cost. And I should also mention, we got a discount by paying within 15 days. It wasn't an extremely large discount, but every discount helps. So there was a discount given because we paid quickly.
And so it just, I know we talked about it before, and I couldn't remember the details, but I thought I saw it on the list of pages.
Yes, I
Yeah,
should have
good
made a
catch.
note of that, but it was not on my radar, so yes.
Good
All
thing
right.
we're moving forward.
Any other questions for staff about consent agenda items? If not, entertain a motion to approve this evening's consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 6, open correspondence. Open correspondence is an item on the agenda during which the public may address the city council. No formal action is taken by the city council, and comments should be limited to 5 minutes or less. And open correspondence comments may also be emailed to city staff by noon on the date of the meeting. Any emailed open correspondence?
Nothing, thank you.
All right. Well, let's move on then to 7, regular business, starting with 7A, reschedule February 3rd, 2026 city council meeting. Jeanette, is this you?
Thank you, Mayor. Tuesday, February 3rd is the date of a regular city council meeting for us, but that does need to be rescheduled because it will be the night of Minnesota's precinct caucuses being held. So staff is recommending that the council consider a motion to reschedule the meeting to either Monday, February 2nd or Wednesday, February 4th, whichever date would work best for you.
Okay. And Councilmember Davik did leave his thoughts earlier today, and that's that he would prefer Wednesday as some sort of a conflict on Monday. I don't have a conflict either way, so any other thoughts on Monday
I'm a
versus
2-2
Wednesday?
For birthday, so, and it's a big one, so.
Ooh, okay, wow. Well, we could hold it here, little festivities here. So you said that was Monday or Wednesday?
Monday.
Oh, Monday.
Yeah, so that's-
Perfect.
Do you
Okay.
have are we thinking there'll be a work session?
Well, I was thinking maybe
I-
I want to take the day.
I have something 5 to 6 that I might be able to get out of, but I'm not sure. On Wednesday, sorry.
Oh,
There is a few items that we're already talking about putting on the next agenda, but nothing that I can think of that would warrant a work session.
Okay. But if we already have 2 conflicts on Monday, I can just show up on Wednesday when I can then. If, I might be able to get out of this, so.
I would say we would make sure if we did need to do a work session, that if anything was really all council, all on board, we would try to make that the last item.
Okay. All right. So sounds like Wednesday's better for everybody.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
all right.
I'll make a motion that we move the next, what is that, February 3rd, 2026 meeting to February 4th on Wednesday.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That was simple. All right, good.
Gets me out of pickleball. Wife wants me to take pickleball lessons.
Oh, well, you just didn't tell us that. We could have
yeah.
worked around it.
Is this thing on?
All right, 7B, resolution regarding the tally of write-in votes for municipal elections. Jeanette?
Thank you, Mayor. A legislative update in 2023 allowed cities to adopt resolutions governing the counting of write-in votes for local elective office. There are a couple options that were specifically set forth for changing the tallying of write-in votes, which were, and I'll just read them from the report if you don't mind. To require that write-in votes for an office only be individually recorded if the total number of write-in votes for that office is equal to or greater than the fewest number of non-write-in votes for a ballot candidate.
Because they didn't win.
Exactly, which is a long way of saying you're very unlikely to have to tally write-in votes. The second option is to require candidates to file a written request by a deadline before an election for their write-in votes to be individually recorded. From what I've been seeing from many municipalities that have adopted this, most of them seem to be going with option one, which is why that is actually what I am proposing this evening, and will be requesting the council consider adopting a resolution on that. As the council is undoubtedly aware, write-in votes have kind of been a bit of a sense of
Joke.
humor thing for us every time we're meeting as a canvassing board. It's funny, I put the examples of Bart Simpson and anyone else. I will tell you, I think every election that I have worked since 2003 has had votes cast for either one or both of those non-existent titles.
Right, we've had some close calls, I think, too, so.
I remember one year, I think anyone else got 3, so. Voters also do often like to write in their own names, or names of folks they know, whether they're eligible for office or not. So really what that unfortunately boils down to is a lot of hours and time and effort, because for those write-in votes, the county has to generate image files of all of the write-ins that are taken. They send those to us. We have to manually tally and record them, and include that as part of your canvassing board, review of results. So this is a great opportunity. Of course, it will save work and effort on the part of both your city election staff and county election staff. And so, yes, staff is recommending adoption of a resolution tonight to govern the tally of write-in votes for our city offices and our future municipal elections.
Although with a sense of humor, I can make a motion to adopt resolution 2020-605 governing the tally of write-in votes for city offices in municipal elections.
Do you need to specify option one?
It is
then?
included in the resolution,
Okay.
so.
All right, I'll second that. So just a question, like, when we do the next canvassing board, we won't even see those write-ins, we'll just see maybe a number that there's 4 write-ins or 5 write-ins, that kind of thing.
Exactly. You will no longer be going through the humorous tally, and I apologize because I know that is a little bit of fun, but but the truth is it is more work than one would anticipate, and it's not that we're unwilling to do it, it's that this is an opportunity to improve any efficiency in elections that we can.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Okay. All right, we had a motion, we had a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, item 7C, approval of 2025 polling place accessibility grant program agreement. Jeanette, you got the third in a row here now. Go for it.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry you're all hearing so much of me this evening.
That's good.
In short, legislation back in 2023 appropriated funds for the Secretary of State to make grants available to counties and municipalities for improving access to polling places with individuals with disabilities. And this year, we saw a cycle for a 2025 polling place accessibility grant. And when I received the information, what immediately leaped to my mind is that we might be able to apply for grants to make a small but great improvement to the accessibility at City Hall. The categories for priorities for funding are, and again, sorry, reading aloud here, automatic electronic door openers for entrances to government-owned facilities designated for use as a polling place, construction of ramps for polling places, signs, tools or enhancements that are all, facilitating the voting experience, and other capital improvements to government-owned facilities designed for use as a polling place. As the council is undoubtedly aware, our electronic door opening system at our front doors is really non-functioning, in part because the door on the right side has degenerated into, I guess, there's no other way to say it, a key eater. And we have to be able to unlock both doors, do some very tricky shenanigans with an Allen wrench to screw down the door levers and operators in order to be able to turn that system on to operate on the outdoors. What that means is, of course, at the end of election night, two things can go wrong. A, the Allen wrench skips its keys, which happens, and you don't always get those door handles back up the way they need to be. And B, if your key gets stuck in the door, it's not going anywhere, and you might have staff sleeping here. So, we really need to be able, we need that door operating system to be functional on a daily basis. We are seeing an increased level of senior pedestrian traffic. We also have a gentleman once in a while in a wheelchair that stops by. We really need that function or that system to be operating. We've also been receiving complaints about the weight of the doors because they're these, old, very heavy steel doors. And senior citizens do struggle to open them. So we applied for a polling place accessibility grant to replace both the outer and inner doors on both sides of the building and revamp the electronic door opening system and restore it to functionality on the primary entrance of City Hall again. It sounds like, although the cap for grant awards was $20,000 per jurisdiction, we had applied for the full amount because the overall project cost we had in mind was going to be a little over $24,000 if we were going to do all 4 doors. Those were not first priorities according to the grant, but the ADA compliant electronic door operating system in those front doors absolutely was. So we did receive a partial funding award in the amount of $6,190.89, which essentially would fund half the project to do both the primary front entrance doors, the outer and inner, with doors that are easier to open, actually better designed handles for pulling and pushing, and restoring the ADA system to functionality.
And when you have polling, nobody comes in the other door either?
No, they do
'cause
not.
it's kind of blocked.
It is, yes. We use that parking lot for election staff, city staff purposes. And if there's any openings, of course, voters can park there, but we do direct voters to come around. And the reason for that in part is that an election really, your voting experience, you kind of want one-way flow. You want it to move in a circle. So you come in that door, you go through this building, and you come right back out that door. That also, of course, is where we have the ramp from the parking lot and where you would have your handicapped accessible parking.
That brings up another point. Is there a grant for striping the,
That's a public works project, and we'll add that to the list.
Really simple.
Yes. 100%.
just need some guidelines?
Right.
Yes, yes. So, yeah, absolutely. But while it wasn't the full award we had hoped for, it will accomplish the primary goal. And we received notification that we received the award, and we also received a polling place accessibility grant program agreement, and we are asking the council to consider approving that tonight.
Okay. So if we did have, ADA-wise, have we ever had any issues brought up, like with the steps here? If we do have residents who don't come here by vehicle, but they're coming from, down the street or whatever, they would just, if they're in a wheelchair, let's say, would they need to come around like this way to get in the building, that'd be okay? There's a sidewalk to make that whole trek?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Actually, in some ways, the stacks kind of improved accessibility. So you have a
Right.
little sidewalk extension right behind the building that wasn't quite there before. And actually, that sidewalk network really goes all the way down now to Wayzata Boulevard. So there's, in some ways, more options for pedestrian accessibility than there used to be.
Nice.
A little bit of a hill, but you could also go down
Yes.
the other way too.
Yes. We do also have
Under the
folks who will
bridge.
come up from downtown, come under the bridge, pass by the funeral home and come up under the bridge and come up to us that way as well, so.
All right. Entertain a motion on this one.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-6, approving the 2025 polling place accessibility grant program agreement between the city of Long Lake and the state of Minnesota, acting through its Secretary of State and authorizing the mayor and city council, city administrator to execute said grant.
Second.
Excellent. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thanks for your work on that, Jeanette.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Now, what's the rough timeline for getting the project rolling?
I have an active quote, so I'm really at a place where as soon as I receive the fully executed agreement back, fully executed agreement, as soon as I have that in my hands, I think I'll be in a position to pretty much immediately reach back out to the vendor and say, let's revisit this and let's get it done. So,
Nice, nice.
Hopefully with a little bit of a discount.
Right, tell her.
See?
Councilmember
see what
Pauley
you
wants a
can do.
discount.
I'm quite a negotiator, I promise. I fight.
Just to clarify, then the back doors we'd be looking at in about a year or so. So we're only
This
gonna be
one?
doing, yes, we're only gonna be doing the front right
Yeah.
now.
Do we need the back doors? I mean, for
I
like.
think we
if
would end up doing it just for color and matching.
Okay. Just because that would be
We
compliant.
wouldn't have an
we'd ha-
ADA, we wouldn't have an ADA.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
just for a door replacement, though,
okay.
for budgeting purposes.
The ADA component and the internal hardware in the latching system, and everything adds a good $1,000 to the door, so it'll be,
Cheaper.
the back doors would be a little less expensive. This is the bigger project of the two.
So when you're looking kind of like for me, if it's just for kind of statics, that's one thing, but is it also for, the doors are pretty old? And I don't know if, is that going to be with what about the windows? Are you looking at like a long-term plan for the windows?
The windows at City Hall.
Throughout the
Yeah.
building,
Yeah,
would
is
be-
that like something that's kind of aging too, or?
I think everything is a
I
little
think,
bit.
I think it is aging, which is why you'll find that a lot of the rooms that have more windows are definitely chillier. I don't think it's gonna be a priority right now, there are
Okay.
other areas. I think with the doors, getting them replaced will be important, because we have had, with the key issues, we have had maintenance out here, and we had hired a company to come out multiple times to try to fix it, and they said the mechanisms are too old, so.
On that note, is there a different way you can lock it and kind of activate it? And
That's a future
Kinda
plan.
looking up-
We are making sure that the doors have the ability to be enhanced later
Okay,
to an electric mechanism.
In other words, that nothing we
Remote.
install now would prevent
Prevent
the
that.
ability of adding an electronic access system in the future.
say that again, Jeanette?
Nothing we would be doing with the new doors would prohibit or prevent us from adding an electronic door opener in the future.
Because
You know,
that would
like
be
your-
nice, yeah.
Yep, yep.
And actually, just a security system in terms of locking it remotely, locking it, I don't know, using an electronic locking system as opposed to a key-based locking system.
Right,
'Cause you
lock you
can have-
automatically at 4:30 or whatever, just in
Yeah.
case you forget, or all sorts of things, yeah.
After hours access, people on a phone app or something, just for staff.
Yes, and that's what we were looking at. I think once the
Picture
budget,
something
the
closer to
budget
the
gives us a
fire
little bit
station.
more room in the
Okay.
future. I think that we have a lot of City Hall upgrades that were coming at one time, and so we're trying to make sure that we get them functional with the ability to improve over time without costing a lot.
Okay.
So,
Just because I'm wondering how many people have the key.
well, it's all, yes, it's all gonna be rekeyed.
Okay.
We'd already talked about that, and it will be a very different situation as far as key.
I can tell you that the number of people who have a key is the full-time staff you have now
Okay.
and the mayor.
Oh,
Was it a
But can we trust
metal
him?
physical key or is it a fob?
It is a metal physical key. There is no fob.
It's truly the
Right,
key to the
right.
city.
Right, it's not very big either, unfortunately. All right, good. So with that, we'll move on to item 8, other business. Councilmember Newcomer.
Nothing for me. Stay warm this weekend.
I know.
Yeah.
Cold, cold, cold. High of -13 on Friday. -13, yeah. Councilmember Feldman.
A
got an
couple
update.
things. One, well, a couple fire things. I don't know if you guys knew there was a search for the deputy chief. So it was a pretty extensive search. I think it started early December. A lot of phone interviews and in-person interviews. So they did hire somebody. John Paskowitz will be the
oh,
deputy chief.
wow.
And he is, I think he'll be seated February 2nd, I think is the current thing there. So, yeah, so we'll have 2 full-time people at the fire department. And I kind of described it at the meeting. We're starting a startup business. So there's just a lot of work to be done. So it'll be nice to have another set of hands on there. And both city staffs have been accomplishing a huge amount in our department too, which is awesome. Another topic came up that's related to us and things that we used to do, and that's pension for the relief. One thing that came up in our board meeting and then also at the relief meeting was, can we automate that process somehow? Because if you talk to different people, everybody's 100% confident and 100% conflicting handshake agreements that happened in the past. And it's like, well, why don't we start over, do best practices, and then help the firefighters have some certainty. And like, if this criteria is met, then we, increase to this amount. I talked to Highland, he said Excelsior did something similar, but kind of take some of the guesswork out of it, take things off the emotional side, and just make it more algorithmic. So that's something that we're exploring, and it's still probably, at least 3 months out, if not 6 months out, to figure out what is best practices, make sure because ultimately the cities are backing this pension, right? So, so the cities need to be on board with it, and then also the fire board, who's the representation. But it'd be nice if both cities were totally gung-ho about how we went about this.
Can it be a because, when they do present, we look at the numbers and the auditors make the recommendation and stuff like that. Could it, right, that it's well-funded? Could it be a threshold for an auditor that approves it, or some sort of auditor's board?
Yeah, well, there's a couple pieces there. One is when the auditors come and tell us this is the percent funded it is, it's, like $4,000 to do that process.
Oh,
But if
okay.
you ask the relief board, can you give me your number within 0.5%, they will get it. Because it's easy for them to compute it, but then to have it be an official report costs a lot. So they don't want to go through that process unless there's a high probability of them getting the approval of a benefit change. But, what should be the funding threshold? Should there be a floor that we stay above? Because there's fundamentally, the cities are on the hook
Yeah.
to backstop this. So there should be some buffer of some sort. What should that buffer be? And, we can geek out. It's a function of what your portfolio has in it. And I brought up the example. It's like, if we were in crypto, it'd be a 300% threshold. Of course, we're not going to invest in crypto, but how nutty your portfolio is does tell you what the value of that buffer is. And that's a component I don't think anybody's ever looked at. So
Is there a way to kind of reduce I understand the auditor's fee is very expensive, but is there a way to, one of the things that I would be concerned about is sort of if it's just all internal, no outside eyes, what's the opportunity for fraud or some?
I mean, it's Abdo. Yeah, that's
So
part of it.
ABNO would still be giving data and stuff
Yeah.
like that?
So I
Okay, but
think
it's not a full opinion?
So I think and maybe I misspoke, so they can give an estimate of what their percent funding is very accurately on their own without having to go to Abdo. Basically, when they go to Abdo does their report, comes back and says, yeah, the number you said, it's pretty close.
Yeah,
So they have a good idea what that number is, and if they have that idea, could we give some certainty in the process and say, if you guys hit this, the fire board will approve with some algorithmic sense that there's confidence that there's not, there's not this uncertainty of getting approved or not.
can I ask you another question? So is there any point, because we get audited, is there any point that it would get audited? Or like, there's probably a stopgap for a year, because at one point, if the next year it's going to be in bad shape, but is there any review that would happen by anybody outside of the Relief Association?
I mean, it's Abdo.
It's required by law that every
Oh,
year
okay,
they
so
have to
there
have
would
it.
be a review, but it wouldn't be this full to like raise the
The benefit.
the benefit amount,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's kind of its own.
Okay, that's what I've just,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's its own process as well, so there's no, it's just kind of, yeah, we have enough money to increase the benefit amount, but we're gonna get audited by the state, or by Abdo, and report that we're solvent.
Yeah, they're the ones then putting the rubber stamp on it saying, yes, the numbers you guessed, you know,
Yeah.
you're off by 0.1%, right?
Okay.
But they're the ones that have the official audit, so. but-
And I just wanted some oversight. I
No,
just
no,
I
absolutely,
wasn't sure.
absolutely. We're not
Like-
changing anything there.
Okay.
It's more just, when should they bring it forward, right?
Yeah.
And then what should be the expectation? Because as I talk to firefighters, there's different firefighters have different expectations on what that is. I'm like, okay, over time, this is kind of, let's decide what that is gonna be, make it something that, you know, people can not, they can plan their lives and not
Yeah.
think this is a little bit more random. Am I saying
Well,
this right?
You did. I think one thing that I just want to clarify is when he was talking about setting that personal threshold for themselves, it's not when to bring it to the board. It's knowing that they're going to have the board support, so when to bring it to ABDO. So
Yeah.
they will still go through the
Oh,
process of
oh,
going to
okay.
ABDO to get an official report, but only at such time that they know that it would be within our threshold for approval. And so they will always continue to go to ABDO once their personal calculations meet the threshold that we have set
Yep.
and determined.
Oh, okay.
Then they will go to ABDO, spend the money to bring it to the board, rather than spending the money in hopes that the board would approve it. They just want to know ahead of time,
Yeah.
what are your guidelines? So that
Oh,
we
okay,
know.
so you guys are working on the guidelines.
Well, and yeah,
Yes.
and like, what are those thresholds? And when I talked to Highland about this, he said Excelsior had their own mechanism to do this that was in the spirit of this, but not exactly the same as what we discussed. So I think we just need to do the research and figure out what is best practice and do that. So that's it.
All right, good update there. Glad things are going well with Shoreline Fire.
Yep, I think.
Can I ask one question? So John Pasquale,
I think that's the third question, but okay.
well, who's counting?
Go ahead.
John Paskowitz, when is his, is it an official ceremony or,
I don't know if it's a ceremony. I just
okay,
know-
he's just gonna be,
I think February 2nd
February
he's gonna show up
2nd.
and I got a pile of things I want him to.
oh, okay.
I'll be over there, but I don't think it's a ceremony.
Oh, okay, because usually it's like they had the pinning ceremony for,
Yeah.
Swearing in normally.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
It wasn't
Sure, that's
mentioned
something
to
at
us.
the
It
department
wasn't.
level, hopefully at least. Yeah.
Yeah,
Normally, a
Yeah,
fire
keep
chief
us
takes an
posted.
oath, or assistant chief will take an oath of office and receive his
Yeah.
badge at that point in time.
Yeah, because that would be on a Monday night, right, which is probably a training night, and it'd be a good night for them to do it, and,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it'd be great if they, see if you can get us invited or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, congratulations.
Because that's something that's coming up in the future that we need to post for city.
Right.
It's an open, yeah.
Right,
That
we
is a
would.
good
We will look
question.
into that. We have been
so
at
now
all the
you're
meetings,
interested in
but
going.
that's fine.
Yeah, thanks for asking the question. Right, right. Oh, great.
Questions, Deirdre?
No, I know when to shut up.
She had coffee.
The team wins.
All right, just Holbrook Park Skating Rink, remember that rink is open. I think we've maybe announced that before. The rink is open, but the warming house is not, unfortunately, due to repairs that are still needed for some plumbing damage that occurred there a couple months ago. It's a little cold out, unfortunately, but it's, it seems like it's either too warm or too cold to skate, so take advantage of it when you can. And then, thanks to Jeanette for sending out a forwarding on a City of Wayzata Facebook post today. Just, a lot of going on in the community, the greater Twin Cities regarding immigration enforcement. And I know City of Wayzata put out a post today regarding questions their city and their police department are receiving about immigration enforcement, and obviously we are policed by the Wayzata Police, and that that Facebook post did a good job about laying out what are the roles of local police when it comes to immigration enforcement, what do they do and what do they don't do actually when it comes to immigration enforcement. So look to our Facebook page if there's more questions about that, and that'll refer readers to a City of Wayzata Facebook post. Other than that, that is it for me today. Councilmember Qualley.
Well, the LMCC closed on their building, so
Yeah, I
that's
heard.
kind of nice. And the other thing, I did go to Andrew Myers.
Oh, that's right, yeah, you and I.
Yeah. It seemed like, I think taxes were on a lot of people's mind, property taxes.
Property taxes and keeping
Building.
Building, zoning, local, seemed like on everybody's plate,
Yeah. Yeah.
as well as fire consolidation was part of his thing too, from the state looking at it, so.
With the latest update from Hennepin Healthcare, about the funding issues they're experiencing, it does raise cause for concern for what may happen at the county level as far as property taxes next year.
Absolutely, yeah, I was at a meeting last week, that's right, where a county commissioner just said, Hennepin County does not have the capacity to tax their way out of this, it's just physically impossible. And so it's gonna be interesting to see how that's gonna affect us and the county budget and what kind of cuts they're gonna have to make. And hopefully, there's talk of looking at the state for more, I don't know if Representative Myers mentioned that, but that, I think their legislators are being kind of asked to try to help to fix this in some way too, by getting more money from the state as a whole to support HCMC, because 40% of HCMC patients are not actually Hennepin County residents, they're from outstate or even out of the state. So
Can I ask you a question? Is some of it St. Paul, St. Paul?
I would assume so.
So it's Ramsey County? If Ramsey County, do they have a county
They do have a their own medical center that I believe is ran by the county as well, yeah. But ours is, Hennepin County's is a level 1 trauma center, a lot better care, and so a lot of folks come from even Ramsey County, I'm sure.
That's
to
what
get
I
that
was wondering,
care, right?
because that seems to be very close, because otherwise, if you're in the north, are you coming to Hennepin County Medical Center, you're flown in,
Right? In many
unless you're
cases.
driving. And that's a long drive
Yes.
for a medical emergency.
Yeah, yeah, so that's gonna be on the radar here, and a lot of and that goes back to our Lake Minnetonka coalition of cities that we're putting some lobbying together. We're taking a big brunt of the impact on property tax increases from the county share, and is that sustainable, or is there another way a path to kind of figure that out? So more to come.
I would love if that lobbyist would tee up the idea of Hennepin County beginning to think of itself as a regional, not just Hennepin County wide, but regions of Hennepin County. The regions
Yeah.
are not the same. The concerns of the Minnetonka Beach and the Long Lake and the Maple Plain are not necessarily in alignment with the concerns of Robbinsdale, Minneapolis, and Edina.
I think Andrew Myers was kind of, not your solution, but kind of noting that the issues are different in different parts
Yes,
of Hennepin County.
West Hennepin, East Hennepin, they are not the same animals, and it
No.
would be nice to see a more regional consideration to how Hennepin County does its lawmaking.
So maybe we should think about kind of redistricting. Just throwing it out there.
Succeeding
What
from
does
the
it
county?
take to form a county?
Talk about
Right.
didn't they try it?
The-
You want to have
Quebec.
Hennepin West?
West Hennepin, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it succeed?
Talk to who?
Sure.
Quebec, don't they want to see from Canada? Sorry.
Oh,
it's a
I
joke.
haven't heard that.
Oh, they're succeeding
No, it's
too?
just such a different character, but yeah.
Yeah, because
Yes.
it's French.
French speaking, right?
Montreal too, though.
Right. In Quebec, yeah.
Yeah.
Bad joke, my bad.
I had not heard that. Well, that's it for me.
All right, Amanda.
Today I was going to let council know that I met with our insurance broker this afternoon. We spoke about where the city of Long Lake was with workman's comp and our liability insurance. And I'm happy to announce that both our premiums have gone down by almost half. And he was saying that it's because of our experience rating and our safety that our employees have been practicing. We had one work comp claim in 5 years, and it was for $200. So
Oh,
I was just gonna say, and same with property. So he said that right now our rating is probably almost as low as it can possibly go. It also did help that we no longer have almost 50 employees that we will be covering, and equipment and so forth is that. But as experience ratings go, he said that we're doing very, very good, and we should be proud of ourselves. So I just wanted to let council know that. We
That's
will
good
see that,
news.
we will start to see that effect. I mean, obviously, we know how it goes. As soon as our experience rating goes down, then premiums go up anyways, but we're doing what we can, and that's important, so. Yes, it was a good
Good.
meeting.
Good. Good update.
A
Thank you.
reduction.
A reduction, yes.
Can
By
put
quite a
that
bit.
sign up, 280 days without an injury or
I
something.
actually, it's funny because I have to, jokingly enough, I have to do something by January 31st, according to OSHA. It's
Really?
on my to-do list for next week. Yes, I have to have something posted by the end of, to tell them the injuries that we've had and
Oh, yeah.
what categories and so forth. So that will be
Yeah.
posted soon. And it will
Okay.
be an easy report to fill out.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
Can't wait to see it. All right, Jeanette.
I actually was going to share on the overhead. There are some sales coming now on the holiday and winter banners, but I have a sense that the council member who might be most
yeah.
interested in that design is not with us this evening. Essentially, I think what we're looking at is just ordering some new standard holiday banners, nothing,
Custom
nothing custom, nothing fancy, just something maybe a little more attractive than we have now, like maybe one with a snowman and one with some ornaments, one that says Happy Holidays, one that says Season's Greetings, two that are complimentary. So I think that's what we're looking at. If the full council doesn't have an active opinion so much on the banners, I'd be happy to reach out to Councilmember Dybek and ask him to come in and we can show him some examples and
Seems
Yeah.
like the ones that aren't specific to the holidays is nicer, like the snowman, because it has a longer run time.
True.
yes,
That's true.
Keep that in mind.
Well
yes.
said, yeah.
That's why I was loving the snowman. There's kind of some cute ones in here, so.
Yeah, that follows for,
The entire winter,
yep,
which is,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is my preference.
Keep
Long week, do
change them all the
something,
time,
yes.
right? Especially when it's cold out. It can't be fun. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think we'll save that as your official committee of one on the banner committee and the
I
poll
will
committee.
reach out to him and ask him if he'd like to kind of look at these with us and see if we can pick a couple.
Great. Thanks. All right. Last call. Anything else? Okay, we'll adjourn then. Reminder that our next meeting will be on Wednesday, February 4th. And so if there's no objection, I'll adjourn the meeting by general consent. Hearing none, meeting is adjourned at 7:18.